Coming up on today's show, a lot of Niners news to get to, as well as a lot of analysis to break down after San Francisco just undressed the Pittsburgh Steelers. My big takeaway from that season opener yesterday, the 49ers look like the best team in the National Football League. First, though, what a day it was yesterday, right here on the show. Second most viewed watch party in the history of the channel. Appreciate all of the 148,000 people who tuned in. Also, let's welcome in some new homies. Almost 1,500 new subscribers during that watch party, and we're going live again for our Monday show. Come hang out with us around 5:30 p.m. Eastern, maybe even 6 o'clock Eastern. For those of you on the West Coast, you can do the simple math there. We'll see you in a bit. For right now, though, let's talk about this Niners win over the Pittsburgh Steelers. It's a Victory Monday here on the San Francisco 49ers Report. I'm your host, Chase Sr. Some overall takeaways from this game yesterday. San Francisco looking like the most dominant team in the National Football League when you factor in how good they were in all three phases and the formidable opponent that they took on in the Pittsburgh Steelers. Going into the game, I thought it was going to be a closely contested matchup, and then during the watch party, I took a look at our BetUS spreads, and I saw that the line was down to Niners -1. I had to put a lot of big money on San Francisco there because I thought that was a little bit too low, disrespecting the Niners, and yesterday they played even better than I had anticipated. And for those of you out there who were saying, well, Chase, San Francisco is really good, but were they better than the Miami Dolphins? The Dolphins yesterday could not stop a nosebleed. They got throttled defensively. That defense did not show up in that game to the Los Angeles Chargers. 6 different lead changes. They couldn't maintain a lead in that game. They gave up a 30-burger to Justin Herbert and Los Angeles. While the San Francisco 49ers coming out of week 1, to me, come out of the opening week as the number 1 team in the NFL and the team that I was most impressed by. They dominated in literally every phase of the game against a really good opponent. And they undressed the Steelers in Pittsburgh. Difficult place to play, yet offensively, defensively, special teams, San Francisco brought it. And when you watch that game, you're like, there is literally talent everywhere. Brock Purdy offensively could have gone to any semblance of weapons on that team. And then defensively, 2 groups deep on the defensive line. Linebacking core was wreaking havoc from sideline to sideline. Intercepted Kenny Pickett 2 times. And the secondary, they came to play as well. Let's start off with Brock Purdy individually here. Brock Purdy, go off. Himothy. Some people are calling him Himmy P. San Francisco went all in on Purdy to be QB1, and it looked pretty damn good yesterday, that decision. He's now 8-0 in games that he has started and finished in his NFL career. And if you want to factor in him relieving Jimmy Garoppolo when the Niners were down against the Miami Dolphins when Jimmy G got injured last year, Brock Purdy's basically 9-0. I don't really give him credit for that NFC Championship game loss because he barely played before he got his elbow just murked by Hassan Reddick. And you look at what Purdy did against Pittsburgh yesterday, another very efficient performance, and efficiency seems to be the name of the game for Purdy. 19 of 29, 220 yards, 7.6 yards per completion, 2 touchdowns, no picks, rarely put the ball in harm's way. TJ Watt was really dominating Colton McKivitz and had a couple of sacks of Purdy, forced that fumble. But other than that, I thought Purdy was really good, really smart, quarterback rating of 111.3. And you look at his spray chart here, what I like about what Purdy was able to do was really spread the football out. Left side of the field, down the hashes, down the numbers, right side of the field. He threw it up the numbers, but also he was able to complete passes at all 3 levels. And you take a look at some of the deep shots here. The one was to Brandon Aiyuk on that touchdown. Could not have been better ball placement. Back shoulder ball to Aiyuk, 50-50 ball, and he was Patrick Peterson's daddy yesterday. And among all quarterbacks going into Monday Night Football across the NFL in Week 1, Brock Purdy, number 1 in QBR, number 3 in passer rating, and number 6 in expected points added per play. That's basically the WAR version, wins above replacement version and statistic for football. So with what Purdy was able to do, building off of what he did last year, improvisational plays out of structure, getting creative, picking up first downs with his arm and his legs. He's really putting together a complete package right now, and he's making San Francisco look really smart for making him QB1. Again, you couldn't have the drama, the storyline, the distraction of Trey Lance on this team if Purdy was going to be the guy. Plus, Lance, next 2 years, cap hit of around $9-10 million consecutively. Why pay all that money for a backup if you believe that Purdy's going to be the guy? And he's getting a lot of respect from his weapons. Brandon Aiyuk sharing this Instagram story. That's Himmy Purdy right there on the story of Brandon Aiyuk. And he's getting the respect of a lot of his teammates. And I love kind of the silent swagger that Purdy has as well. Patrick Peterson said there are telltale signs for this Niners offense. Guaranteed an interception of Purdy in week 1. And then Purdy, thanks to Brandon Aiyuk, dropping Patrick Peterson to his knees and throwing that dime to Aiyuk later, had 2 touchdowns on the former All-Pro and most likely future Hall of Famer. And Brock Purdy, after he heard Patrick Peterson said that in the lead-up to the game, said simply, yeah, we'll see. And then after the game said, yeah, that second touchdown that I threw to Aiyuk, back shoulder ball, 19 yards, was that Patrick Peterson on that play? That one felt pretty damn good. Brock Purdy played pretty damn good. And it's really impressive what he's doing right now. Next up, Christian McCaffrey. How good is Run CMC? 22 carries against the Steelers yesterday, 152 yards, 6.9 yards per carry, and that touchdown, which went 65 yards. The seamless mobility of that spin move was filthy. The block downfield by Brandon Aiyuk, tremendous. And then he was able to spring free into the end zone with another really good downfield block that was thrown by Ray McCloud, getting back at his former team. And the in-depth numbers on McCaffrey, also very impressive and of note. 125 yards after contact, 5.68 yards after contact per carry. So you look at him as a finesse back, but really, he's good at breaking tackles and picking up yards after contact. 5 missed tackles forced. That's the elusive element to his game. And then furthermore, it's impressive what he did considering the defensive style that he was going up against. Faced a highest 8-man box rate of 68% of his carries. So faced an 8-man box on 68% of his carries. Better wording that second time. And then he led all running backs in rushing yards with 152. Led running backs in rushing yards over expected with 56. That's basically a stat. We think you're going to get this, and then you get that. McCaffrey, just an unbelievable weapon. I don't even look at him as a running back any longer. He is worth that price tag. One of the few players at that position that's worth that price tag. If this team has you pumped up right now, and this should be everybody watching the show right now, because San Francisco, it's hard to come away with any weaknesses, any critiques of what they put on tape yesterday. Then I want you to hit that thumbs up icon and like the video. Can we beat our likes record with this particular show? More thoughts to get to here in just a moment, but first, the San Francisco 49ers Report is presented by Marine Layer. Head to marinelayer.com/chatsports15 to get 15% off your order. As you can see, I'm wearing the show that we just featured here on the program. And when you think about Marine Layer, softest shirts mankind has ever made. This one that I'm rocking is really comfortable. Imagine the softest thing you've ever touched. Maybe that pillow ball thrown by Brock Purdy to Brandon Aiyuk. Maybe some soft kittens or freshly fallen snow. I don't know. You get the idea. Marine Layer, the go-to brand for great fitting and stylish closet staples. Based out of California, Marine Layer clothes are that perfect mix of laid-back style that also looks and feels premium, but also, as you can see with this photo and what I'm rocking today, some casual looks too. What I love about Marine Layer, how their shirts stay so soft no matter how many times you wash them. It's time to invest in a wardrobe that will actually last for you. For a limited time only, our listeners and viewers get an exclusive 15% off discount with the code CHAT15 at marinelayer.com. So make sure you use that promo code for that deal to apply. And I think we can all admit the perfect tee can be hard to find, so look no further than Marine Layer. Limited time only. Get 15% off using the code CHAT15. And I am rocking the Asher print sweater button down in this blue geo color. You can see for yourself using that link down below. As for Brandon Aiyuk, let's go, Brandon. Patrick Peterson, what happened? You said you were going to intercept Brock Purdy, and then Brandon Aiyuk dominated your ass all throughout the afternoon. It's time for Patrick Peterson to turn in his cleats because my man is washed. Now, this wasn't the actual exchange between Peterson and the reporter in the locker room, but basically, when you look at this photo here, it looks as though Patrick Peterson knows damn well that he's a defeated man. And the reporter was probably like, Patrick Peterson, were you embarrassed by Brock Purdy and Brandon Aiyuk after you guaranteed an interception? And he said, yes, reporter, I was in fact embarrassed because I couldn't stop a nosebleed either yesterday. Aiyuk was awesome, and he had Peterson's number. Pat Pete ain't the same former All-Pro that he used to be. 8 targets for Aiyuk, 8 grabs, 129 yards and 2 touchdowns. For the real ones out there, you know that going into last year, I had said, everybody's sleeping on Brandon Aiyuk. This guy continues his ascent year over year. He's better than CD Lamb. He deserves to get paid next offseason, and he is the #1 wide receiver on this Niners roster. I look at Deebo Samuel more so as an overall weapon. Aiyuk is so clean as a route runner, as evidenced by him dropping Patrick Peterson to his knees, and he's such a great target and great weapon for this Niners offense among all wide receivers in an era in which there are so many good ones across the league. Aiyuk in week 1, #2 in Pro Football Focus's wide receiver overall grade category, and #1 in PFF's wide receiver receiving grade category. And when Brock Purdy targeted Aiyuk, they had it working last year. They had it working yesterday. 158.3 passer rating when targeting BA. That's perfect. It literally does not get better than 158.3. What a performance from Aiyuk in the Steel City. Type LGB for Let's Go Brandon. Some more takeaways that I have from this game. Let's talk about the Niners defense because they gave up 7 points. Prior to that 2-minute drill for Pittsburgh late in the second quarter, the Steelers had 1 yard of offense. And this Niners defense was led once again by number 54 in Fred Warner. My defensive takeaways, the defense all throughout the day was swarming. They were playing fast. They were playing physical. They're 2 groups deep along that defensive line. I've continued to say this time and time again here on the show. The real ball knowers know that Arik Armstead is underrated and undervalued. Stop underrating Arik Armstead. It's not all about sacks. He's able to push the pocket, collapse the pocket by himself. He did that, which led to the Drake Jackson sack, the first one that Jackson had on the afternoon. And then when Kenny Pickett got intercepted by Charvarius Ward, who was the one that collapsed the pocket once again? Number 91 on the interior. As for Drake Jackson, he heard everybody saying, trade for Brian Burns, trade for Brian Burns. And he looked up at that front office into the box at John Lynch and Adam Peters, and he said, you don't need to trade for Brian Burns and use all those financial resources, even though we have $41.5 million in cap space. I'm your guy. 3 sacks for Drake Jackson. Looked awesome. That matched his total during his entire rookie season last year. Fred Warner continues to be a dog against the run, against the pass. This guy is one of the best linebackers that my eyes have ever seen, and we've seen some really good ones for this organization as well as across the league in this generation of football. 2010's on, but 2000's on. I was very young in the late 90s, but a couple of really good backers who had more advantages to their disposal because they could be a little bit more physical. Fred Warner's up there with some of the best. And when he's running down the seam defending the pass, it's a sight to see. And then 5 sacks as a team. Chris Kosarek doing a great job with this defensive line. And Clelin Ferrell, he's having a really, really good start. The Raiders' trash is the Niners' gold. Clelin Ferrell in his debut, I tweeted this out on my Twitter page, @Chase_senior. He really impressed me. 2 quarterback pressures, 2 quarterback hits, 2 tackles, 2 stops, and a Pro Football Focus grade of 84.5. And when you have a player, by the way, going back to Fred Warner, like him on the field, this is the Kenny Pickett throwing chart. Kenny Pickett did not target the middle of the field. Kenny Pickett was only comfortable throwing around the numbers. He did not want to throw into the teeth of that Niners defense. And when you have Talanoa Hufanga in the middle of the field, who had that huge hit on Pat Freiermuth to dislodge the football in the end zone, as well as that other interception, and you have Fred Warner, Dre Greenlaw in the middle of the field, look how few passes Kenny Pickett took down the seam here and in the middle area of the field. That's because you have two beacons on that Niners defense and a lot of beacons on that Niners defense who put fear into the opponent. And how about Jake Moody? Jake Moody yesterday in his NFL debut. Moody, not booty. Impressive first game for him after he was awful in the NFL preseason. Moody, good from 41, 32, and 40 yards. He got iced by Mike Tomlin early in that game. He got iced twice by Josh McDaniels in a preseason game. Missed both. He got iced again by Mike Tomlin. Did not miss. Did not handle kickoff duties because of that quad injury. But kicking is such a mental game, and for him to see 3 kicks go through the uprights from fair distances of 41, 32, 40 yards, that's a good special teams moment for him as well as the Niners. Feel free to interact with me on social media. I'm on Twitter and Instagram at Chase_Senior. A lot of new followers picked up during our watch party yesterday. And another reminder, going live here on the San Francisco 49ers Report in a little while. That's why you sub to the channel, turn on those notifications. Therefore, when we go live and we push out a video, you will be notified. And to the nearly 1,500 people who are new to the program, San Francisco, thank you.